Taking to the stage, we have Jordan, GM of the Loyalty and Referrals platform at Yotpo, and Griffin, co-founder and CEO at Pura Vida and Forbes 30 Under 30. The right tech partner is one that grows and scales alongside your business. In this session, you'll understand how to ditch the data silos and go for platform solutions that ensure your marketing efforts remain agile and connected, all at scale. You'll see Yotpo's exclusive Pura Vida case study and find out how to generate social proof and reinforce customer retention and loyalty. Welcome, Jordan and Griffin.
Okay, so I guess we should start out by introducing ourselves. I'll start. I don't think anyone here is really here to see me, Griffin, or hear from me, but I'm Jordan Gutman. I'm the general manager of the Loyalty and Referrals business at Yotpo. And more importantly and more excitingly is Griffin Thall, who's here. So for people who don't know, Griffin is the co-founder and CEO of Pura Vida Bracelets. By the way, do you guys go by Pura Vida Bracelets now? Is it just Pura Vida because you sell so much more than bracelets now?
Yeah, I mean, recently we changed our Instagram handle from Pura Vida Bracelets just to Pura Vida. Obviously because we sell different products now. We sell t-shirts, hoodies, we sell backpacks, we have tons of jewelry. We're always expanding, to new categories. So we just thought it was more relevant than just kind of keeping it at bracelets.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think most people are probably familiar with Pura Vida as a company, but I actually think, I don't know how many people know the origin stories, and what it was like in sort of the early days of direct to consumer and the wild, wild west of people who were digitally native and built e-commerce. But I think just for everyone's sake, it'd be great to get a little bit of the lay down, what's the origin story? How did you guys first get started? How did you get your first customers? And then we'll probably get into some of the nitty gritty strategies. I'll ask you some questions about major pivotal points and how you guys were able to scale beyond the initial brand.
Definitely, yeah. So Pura Vida started in 2010. Paul, my business partner, and I went on a surf trip to Costa Rica. We met these guys making bracelets on the sand. We asked them if we could buy 400 bracelets from them, and that was the last day they ever worked on the beach again. It obviously sounds like such a simple story, but we've been doing this for 11 years. There's been ups and downs, highs and lows, tons of stuff in between. But we're so happy to say that, we've taken about 900 artisans out of poverty that hand make all the bracelets that we purchase from them. And we've donated a couple $1 million to charity as well through the sales of our charity bracelets. So the brand is definitely, supports artisans, supports charities. It's affordable. We have tons of different customer types, and, we love making cool, fun products for our fans.
That's amazing. So building an actual industry inside of an area in Costa Rica. And this is your first job, right? I mean, outside of maybe summer jobs or part-time jobs, this is the only thing you've ever done, right?
Yeah, I mean, I graduated from San Diego State, I think it was May, and then we started this brand in August or July. So basically we had a summer break, went to Costa Rica and met these guys on the beach. And this is our first job out of college. So we didn't really know what we were doing. We started on my bedroom floor in college. Paul and I were roommates. So every morning that we started the brand, he would text me or I would text him about 6 or 7 a.m. Hey, dude, you ready to start? He's like, all right. He'd come down to my room. We'd pop up our 2 computers on our shared 6-foot desk. And then quickly, after a couple months later, my bedroom looked like a shipping center. So then we knew that it was time to open an office. So we got a small office down the street from where we lived in Pacific Beach. We hired a couple of our best friends to start, taught them how to do shipping, which we learned that month prior, figured out how to do graphic design, watched YouTube videos. I was building the website, designing stickers, logos, flyers. We bootstrapped it from there. We started with $100 each, never took on funding, never had any debt, and just kept rolling that investment into more product. Soon enough, we were able to upgrade our staff, our office, and our categories. And that's where we are today.
So I think actually something that's really interesting is that you guys bootstrapped. I don't know if it was out of necessity, because I don't think VCs were funding e-commerce businesses in 2010. But what was it like acquiring customers? Because nowadays a lot of brands are obviously still bootstrapped, but a lot of people there's much more availability in terms of raising money, either through venture capital, through crowdfunding. How were you guys? You guys had I'm guessing pretty much no budget. Like, how are you even acquiring like the first set of customers back then? Was it ads? Was it word of mouth? Was it like out there just like selling bracelets, for cash on the street? Like, how did you get the initial buzz going?
I mean, it was honestly pre-Facebook ads, pre-Instagram. We started with a Facebook fan page where the reach was actually 100% when we started. So every follower was a follower, it wasn't just another
There are
number.
real accounts.
It was real accounts. Yeah. So it was crazy because what we did to start, we started marketing to our core audience, right? We just graduated from San Diego State. We were both in fraternities. So our closest connection to the college was the Greek life. So we basically contacted the presidents of all the sororities and all the fraternities. Paul and I would walk into the chapter meeting with our laptops and a bag of bracelets, and we would tell them our story as alumni to San Diego State University. We told them our story. We had a captive audience. Everyone was listening to us, obviously. And we said, if you guys toss us a follow on Facebook, we'll give you a free bracelet when our talk is over. And obviously everyone was very excited, for people in the Greek system to get a free bracelet simply for liking someone's fan page. So yeah, we did this all through San Diego State, UCSD, SDSU, and USD, I think so. Basically, we would do that on repeat until we hit all the different sororities and fraternities. And we quickly built our fan page up to, I think, 25 or 50,000 followers. And then when people started posting about us on their Facebook profile, that's when we would get tons of followers. So we basically built our page up to 100, 200,000 followers organically before ads. So every time we were able to post new bracelet color, new bracelet style, whatever it was, everyone saw it and we sold out within minutes. It was crazy.
And then what happened? So you had that was your initial demographic, and I think it makes really good sense for your product. What was the point where you guys said, all right, we're doing well, we're making profit because you're bootstrapped, you had no choice. Like, what was the point where you said, let's expand beyond this? And also, how did you know? How did you start to realize it was time? We actually have something here that's maybe bigger than we thought.
I mean, that was kind of a joke that we would say actually for probably maybe the first 5 years in business. Paul and I and a couple other people on our team, we would always say, do we have something here? Do we have something here? Is this a real job? Do we need to look elsewhere? Because we just couldn't believe it that Pura Vida was able to grow past just a project. It was a business that had 5, 10, 15, 20, now almost 50 employees. So it's crazy to think that in the beginning stages, we had to do whatever we could to turn a profit. And I think that when we realized that it was a true business was when we were not only able to pay ourselves, but have a big team, have a big office, be able to take on bigger risks with marketing or advertising. I remember our first big Black Friday, it was the first time that we ever ran a big sale and we couldn't believe how many customers came in. And then the next year was how do we use those customers to buy again with another offer? And that's when the Black Friday stuff started to really kick off and drive a ton of our business, in Q4. But I think that, in 2015, we were getting content from an influencer and someone was wearing a silver wave as a ring on their wrist when they were turning in photos of them wearing Pura Vida bracelets. All the comments were not about the bracelets, but they're about the wave ring, which is something that we never made because it wasn't a bracelet. So we decided to look into making a silver wave ring. So we had our designers come up with a design, source the product, sterling silver, great quality, and we released it as a new category. Not a new category, but just one new item. This was our most viral ad on Facebook and Instagram ever to date. We've never sold more units of an individual SKU to date in the past 11 years. And this single silver wave ring launched us into the jewelry category, which now is about 50% of our business.
Wow. So this was a pretty pivotal point in the business.
Huge point in the business, because then people were buying Pura Vida as a first-time buyer, not as a bracelet, but as a wave ring. So now the trust to our brand came in from not our core product, but a new category.
How did this change the way that you guys looked at, I don't know, customer lifetime value? Because originally they're going to buy bracelets. We know we're going to do new launches. They're going to buy more bracelets. Did you suddenly think wow, we have a relationship with this customer and now sort of sky's the limit. We have more products. How do we build more products that they'll like? Or did you just feel all right, we're going to get into this one new category? I guess what I'm asking is did you have did the master plan start to come into place there?
Honestly, there's never really been a master plan. We've kind of just hacked away at making new products, categories. And then once the silver wave ring happened, that's when we realized that we can come up with other metal designs, such as necklaces, earrings, different types of ring styles, even metal bracelets too. So we wanted to make sure that any product that we made never felt like merch or like a temporary item, but it actually felt like a true product expansion.
I don't know. I'm thinking, and I know we've spoken about this before, but like you guys were doing direct to consumer before there was a name for direct to consumer. I don't think people were even calling it that. What was it like? Were you guys on Shopify from the beginning? I know Shopify didn't even have an app store till like 2009 or 2010. So like, what was the whole world like that then in e-commerce? And like, how did you figure out what tools to use, how to grow the business? Like you said, Facebook ads weren't even a thing yet. Like, how did you learn all that? And like, what was the evolution there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, we were on Shopify since pretty much we started the business. We switched over to a different platform for like 6 months, and it almost like destroyed us. So we came right back to Shopify for safety. And then once we were on Shopify and things were running smoothly, I was spending all my time on this app store. I was like looking around what apps we can install, what apps we can use to scale. Because once again, we didn't have funding. We couldn't just, spend a bunch of money on a big marketing campaign. We had to basically use our traffic to increase the conversion rate and get more value of each of our visitors. So I think looking back at it, a lot of the time that I spent as a founder was growth hacking this store. And I think that when I was on the Shopify store, installing these apps, getting to know the entrepreneurs and founders of these apps was a really cool connection to be made, because they were just starting up their business just like I was. So I was able to connect with these founders, understand why they built these businesses, what their reason is, and how they could benefit me, and how we can benefit them as one of their biggest clients.
And that's probably why you guys are still like a case study on every single technology provider that started on the Shopify App Store. I think somewhere on there is like Pura Vida, a case study as like their oldest customers usually.
Yeah, I mean, we're also a very visual brand. We have great imagery from our social media, so it's easy to use that, with these apps, just because when people are shopping on Instagram and Facebook and your website, visuals is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of brings me to like another question related to visuals, because I have a question around like influencers and how you got in that. But really like, the acquisition strategies in commerce have, in some ways they're similar, but in a lot of ways they've changed, right? Like you said, there wasn't even really Facebook ads when you started, so you were doing it organically. And then there wasn't even influencers yet, right? Instagram maybe existed, but it wasn't popular in 2010, 2011. So how did you discover those trends? How did you get into them? And also like, how did you get good at it? Especially when you're talking about like acquisition and influencers. Curious to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has their own influencer marketing strategy. It's such like a blanketed term now. So I think for us, we kind of paired it into 3 different buckets. The first one is, kind of like the brand ambassadors, which are people that are, you could call it under like 5,000 followers. They're your normal friends. They don't have a big social following, but they are authentic, they are real, and the content that they produce is, from a personal experience. And then I would say the people that are maybe between 5,000 followers and 50,000 followers are more of your content creators. These are people that are really good at taking photos. They love to travel. They love to submit things to us that show off how Pura Vida is intertwined into their lifestyle. And it's very organic as well. And then I think anyone over 100,000 followers could have influence on your buying behavior. And what I mean by that is, usually it's a more expensive engagement with them, whether it's a rev share model, whether it's more cash up front, whether it's some type of sponsorship fee. But I think that when you work with people that are over 100,000 followers, it's a little bit more like asks back and forth. But I think that since the beginning, we would always engage with these micro influencers or brand ambassadors because they were authentic, they were real. And we were actually able to scale up our program to about 175,000 people that have signed up to become a Pura Vida brand ambassador.
Wow. And when you talk about authenticity, like, because it's something that I've always noticed, and I think starts to become, more common. You see like a lot of influencers out there and they're just like hawking products, right? And I think that in the early days of influencers, maybe people didn't really understand what was going on in terms of the business relationship, but now it's like anyone with 100,000 followers has like a, click the link in my bio, they get their affiliate link. How do you feel like that's evolving in terms of like creating, genuine trust, and then brands that are using those influencers, does that actually like dilute how the end consumer, views the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so many influencers work with so many brands, and unfortunately, a lot of the brands could be in the same category. So, as someone following this person, you might not know what's authentic, what's paid, what's not. The majority of the time, they are posting about brands. There's probably some type of sponsorship involved. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that the influencer marketing space has evolved a lot. You know, we work with them on a little bit different basis. The majority of our work with influencers is content creation that then we either repurpose organically or as ads or as website content or as some type of like email marketing campaign or something like that. We feel that the saturation for influencers posting sometimes can maybe produce a negative ROI. Sometimes it does work, but there's kind of a lot of like learning process and turn and burn. So I think that for us, we lean on influencers more for a content strategy as opposed to a posting strategy.
Yep. And in terms of like these growth strategies, you talk about influencers. Was there any other major sort of strategies that started to unlock like a new level of growth that you didn't realize was possible outside of the product expansion? Because I know you guys have done, subscription, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that you guys have tried. So we'd love to hear about what worked. Also, would love to hear about like strategies you tried that didn't work that you thought would be much more impactful.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I ran through the Shopify App Store. I just wanted to figure out every possible little nudge or button or highlight or rollover or hover or pop up, something that can just, either get some phone number or email address from the customer. And I think that we've really built a pretty robust like email marketing and SMS program. Outside of social media, these are our biggest channels for revenue and for retention. So yeah, I mean, I think that it kind of just we've just done so many different things, to be honest. I think that the App Store has been something that with Shopify, also talking to other brand owners that I'm friends with, we all talk about which apps are using, which apps here and there, which ones are working. So it's kind of funny because we're all pretty much using all the same top Shopify apps.
Gotcha. And then how have you, it's interesting, like how have you seen a lot of these, like a lot of the tech stack evolve? Because you seem to it seems like you usually stick with a solution for a while, but has there been any solutions that evolve or categories that evolve? Like you mentioned SMS that started to become pivotal to the strategy beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was just like social media, on-site conversion stuff, and email. And then once SMS came out, I remember we were pretty optimistic about it, and we'd be like, oh, sending one text a month, two texts a month, but now it's like fully ingrained in our strategy. And I think that over the past maybe 5 years, SMS has become a dominant revenue channel for a lot of like e-commerce stores like Pura Vida.
And you mentioned a lot of the tech that you mentioned it sounds like is focused in the early days, it was acquisition, and now it's a lot of customer retention. How has, I think over the past 3 or 4 years, all people have been talking about is rising acquisition costs. It's now a battle for attention because you're competing with brands, even if you don't think you're competing with them, because you're all bidding on the same keywords, you're all going after the same influencers. So like how did your guys' shift to retention or balancing acquisition and retention, like did you have a major shift in mindset around that at some point as things became more expensive? I mean, you were lucky to have a base of customers that you could expand on, but was there any point when you guys really started to shift focus?
I mean, no one's really figured it out yet. It's kind of like a constantly evolving question, is how do we continue to grow, expand, get, higher repeat rates, higher LTV. But I think it kind of just comes down to having like a creative content strategy, unique products, quality products. You want to make sure that you have strong reviews on site, whether they're photos or whether they're text-based, but you want to make sure that people that go to your site that are new can look at a product page and feel the trust from other people. The same way that you go on Amazon. I mean, I don't know anyone that shops a product on Amazon with no reviews. It just doesn't happen, So I instantly, when I search something on Amazon, water bottle, if water bottle has 30,000 reviews versus 141, I'm gonna get the one with 30,000 reviews. So I think it's important to get that customer engagement when they're talking about the product on your site, on social media, repurposing that in ads, and really using the customer voice as an acquisition and retention strategy.
Gotcha. And in terms of retention, how do you guys think, someone buys a bracelet, like how do you think about staying top of mind, with a lot of these consumers? Because and maybe it depends on your product category a little bit, but I'm assuming a bracelet is, it's not always something that someone's searching for, like in their mind, maybe they want to buy new accessories. Like, how do you stay in front of someone, they're already a customer of Pura Vida? How do you kind of make sure they're top of mind at that moment when they will actually make a purchase? And how do you make sure that they come to you guys again and again and again?
I mean, I think it just goes back to our content strategy. You know, we want it to be strong, unique, you know, working with relevant brands, influencers, you know, different trademarks that are really popular over time. Like, for example, this year, 2021, you know, we worked with Charlie D'Amelio, we worked with Madison Bailey from Outer Banks. We just dropped a big campaign with Disney. We have a big thing coming up with Sanrio, Harry Potter. So there's a lot of things that are coming out with the brand, especially in 2021, that have allowed us to expand and create and target new audiences. So I think it's important because as a brand, you have to evolve your products, you have to evolve your customer base, you have to either, you know, age up or change your marketing or try to find new audiences and pockets of people. But I also think working with brands and influencers that are top of mind and relevant in our current day allows people to come in and really be excited about the brand.
Makes sense. And just because we have to do it, and I know you know this, just to how like would love to hear briefly about like loyalty as a strategy, like not just on software, but like I know you guys have a loyalty program. You do have a loyalty program with us, full disclosure to everyone. How did you guys think about implementing this program in terms of, and we don't need to get into every specific tactic, but like how did you think about the relationship that it would build with your customer and how it like fit into sort of your long-term vision?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it goes back to in high school when I'd get my car washed and you'd get that little card, and if you
Card?
yeah, you get 9 car washes, your 10th one's free. And I think that type of mentality has never gone away in consumer behavior for shopping. You know, you want to get rewarded along the way for making more purchases, spending more money, coming back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and actually going through this experience that allows you to, as a customer, have a high five, have a thank you, get rewarded for being, you know, so loyal. Because look how many brands are out there that people can shop bracelets and jewelry and hoodies and backpacks. They don't have to come to Pura Vida, but if we treat them with good customer experience and we reward them for their purchase and their customer life cycle, they're going to come back and they're going to be stoked and they're going to want to talk about Pura Vida offline as well as offline.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talk to a lot of brands and we hear all these different theories around like how do you build loyalty with customers through the loyalty program and through everything else. And it's like you have the evolution of this where, you know, you used to have like either like a store's credit card when you used to go to the mall or something, or the punch card. And it's like, well, now the mall is infinite, right? It's like the whole internet, right? You can go anywhere. So it's even more important to try to like figure out a way so that, you know, when I have points, I have discounts, I have some sort of VIP level with Pura Vida. So like, let me check their site first. And that's kind of what we found a lot with a lot of customers that like, that's why they push people in that direction.
And just like when you think about it, people spend their credit cards every month just for regular purchases. And then when they're ready to spend money on that trip, they look at their credit card points. Oh, I have $500 worth of points, $1,000 worth of points. I'm going to use this for my free trip or my free flight. That customer in that moment feels so rewarded because they're not dipping into their savings. They're actually using points rewarding for normal spending.
Yeah, and then you get them in the habit of shopping with you and you become like their go-to. And then I think also that's like probably a good way for a lot of brands to get people to try new categories that they have that, like, you know, using bracelets as an example, maybe I buy bracelets from you guys all the time, but like I've never bought a backpack, for example. So that's like perfect opportunity to try it out. You deliver a good product and suddenly, you know, you've expanded, not just you already have the product catalog, but in their brain, the kinds of products that they could buy for you. So it's like,
I mean, and everyone wants that gamification aspect of it. You know what I mean? So like when working with you guys, we create a game out of it with like the icons, with how people are rewarded, the different coins and points and dollars. And we were able to customize the program that feels like it's a Pura Vida program. You know what I mean? Not just a Shopify app that we installed, but truly something that is ingrained with our marketing, with our brand ethos, and people feel like it's truly coming from us.
well, yeah, no one wants like, regardless of whatever software you use for any category, like everyone associates it with Pura Vida, right? They don't care that, you know, you have like Yotpo loyalty, your customers have no idea who we are. And so it's like, that all has to be very much a part of your brand. I think I think on everything. And that's what I think a lot of like brands are starting to realize that like for all of their technology, it needs to be so integrated in terms of the experience, because consumers they feel like less forgiving than they've ever been. And so everything is you. It doesn't really matter what tools you use. It's you, right? You're the person who has the relationship with the customer. I want to also, two more things that I think would be interesting to cover. One is, you're ingrained in the space. So would love to hear like the future trends that you see happening in terms of customer acquisition and retention and anything else, like even logistics. We have like a very relevant thing going on with logistics and e-commerce. Like, where do you see like the future going in terms of like e-commerce from both technology, how brands are going to start, how people are going to acquire customers in the future? I don't know if you spend like a lot of time thinking about this. I assume that you probably spend all your time thinking about this. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, the internet's a really crowded space right now. People are spending on their Facebook ads, their Instagram ads, trying other channels, Snap, Pinterest, Twitter, TikTok, TV, traditional marketing as well. And there's no solution, you know what I mean? There's no one size fits all. There never has been. Obviously, it's a race to the bottom, but I think with Pura Vida, it's important to know that the channels and strategies that we've used in the past, I'm still confident they're going to work in the future, but it is going to be more challenging. And I think that as we continue to test new channels like TikTok, I'm very optimistic on TikTok. I think that that's where our customers are going. That's where they have been going. We've done surveys and they are still living on Snapchat and TikTok and less on Instagram. So I think that when you know that stat and you're trying to battle Instagram growth, you got to understand, well, your customers are not there as much anymore. They're truly on TikTok and they're on this app for hours a day. So I think once TikTok figures out their ad platform, makes their targeting better, allows brands to scale profitably, they are going to have a massive growth spurt. I think that they're so new right now that, they've been around for the past couple of years. Obviously with COVID, it boomed, but I think that their advertising, once it's perfected, is going to be the gold rush.
do you think today, like, given sort of like the battle for attention, the chaos, all the different channels, do you think today, like if you're starting Pura Vida in the past couple of years, would you have raised money if you did it all again? Like if you were doing it again today?
I mean, yeah, we started selling $5 bracelets. I don't think that would work with today's advertising prices or the amount of stores that are on Shopify or running Facebook ads or the amount of people out there that, competition. I think when we started, we kind of got in early. When we started Pura Vida, we never had even a mobile site, a mobile experience. You had to shop on desktop. The page loading time was like 15 seconds per page. It was a disaster. But as you can see, things have progressed, right? Our site's 90% mobile traffic, conversion rates high, site speeds high. So all those things have changed over the past 11 years. But I think today, starting Pura Vida with a $5 entry point, we would have had to raise money. We would have had to take bigger swings, bigger risks, and really try to push and shove our way in there around the competitors. Or I don't think we would have been given a solid chance.
So if you were starting like and maybe, I don't know if this is something you want to talk about or you think about, if you were starting a brand today, like, do you have an idea of like what category or price points you would focus on, especially if you were bootstrapping and not raising money?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if each product on the site can be maybe at least $100, that would allow customers to have a higher entry point. And I think that, the price that each product would be potentially higher than the CPA that you're going to get charged on your marketing. Also, if it is a good product and it's something that people wear, use, consume, whatever it is every day, then you're going to get that higher LTV. You're going to get that repeat rate. You're going to get that high retention. And I think that that's what's important right now is, the race to be profitable on Facebook and Instagram ads is getting tougher and tougher for brands. So you really need to focus on a product that has that higher price point to start and something that people are going to buy constantly.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. The reason I ask is like, because I do want to ask you about your exit, and we have a bunch of entrepreneurs out there starting new brands, and like the impact on raising money. I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that you can end up in like a world where you're chasing your tail. You keep raising more and more money. You keep spending, you keep burning. You never really get profitable, and then your only option is like a sale in probably not necessarily the best position, depending on if we're in the best of times or worst of times. But I would also like to, like, if you're willing to talk about, like, I know you guys had an exit recently, or partial exit, like, would love to hear like how it even came about. Were you looking for an exit? Were you looking for a partner, or did it just show up opportunistically? Had you ever thought before about like selling? Were there any other times?
Yeah, I mean, we started the business in 2010, and I think in 2000, maybe 16, probably like 6 years after starting, we were hit up by investment banker in LA, and he was, had a lot of interest in Pura Vida, and we said, no, we don't want to sell. He's like, all good. Let's just keep open contacts, and I'll be in touch with you guys. A year later, can I take you guys out to dinner? We're not interested in selling. We'll see what happens. And then I think like a year after that, he's like, hey guys, let's chat. I know your sweet spot. I know where you're at. I know where the market is. I'm confident that we could get you something that you're interested in. And I'm like, talking to Paul, my business partner, I'm like, dude, I think we should just try it out. Let's just see what happens. Let's test the waters. At the end of the day, we could say no, and we still have our business, right? So I think that we signed up with a company called Sage. Sage is based in Beverly Hills in LA, and all they do is sell businesses. That's all they do. So I think that when we signed up with Sage, we realized that they were the best partner because their recent sale before us was Tom Shoes. They sold Tom Shoes to Bain Capital for, I think, $750 million. And we were like, holy shit, these guys are real. So I think given that info, we signed up and we went through a process, and it was a pretty grueling process. It was about a year and a half, or maybe like 16 months or so. And we were on this roadshow tour around the US. We went to Vegas, went to New York a couple of times, and we were basically just selling our biz to these investors. And we met with billionaires, we met with brand owners, we met with CFOs of public companies, CEOs, and we were basically just shown off to these people. And it was fun, it was stressful, it was a headache, it was a lot of traveling. We went to awesome dinners, great steakhouses. And at the end of it, when all those meetings were done, we basically had 7 offers. And before we went to those meetings, we basically prepared this like financial book with photos and all this stuff. And we got 7 offers. And then 2 of them we were serious about. And one of them was with a financial company, a private equity. And then one of them was with a strategic, which was Vera Bradley. And we chose to go with Vera Bradley for multiple reasons. They're a handbag company based out of Indiana. They've been around for about, I think, 35 or 40 years. And we just really liked, we meshed with their brand culture, their DNA. The CEO, Rob, went to mine and Paul's high school and college. So we just felt like the stars are aligning. What more do we need? Writings on the wall type of thing. So we came to terms on a deal, basically 75% buyout and 25% retained equity for me and my partner, Paul. And it was a 5-year earnout, and it's already been 2 years. So we have about 3 more years left on our contract. And honestly, like, we love it. Like we've been having a great time working with them. I think that some of the fears that people told us about getting bought out and blah, 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 you don't have a say anymore. We have a great say. And I don't think that it's changed how we operate, who we hire, what we do. But they've been there to support us. They helped us open up our first retail store this year in San Diego UTC Mall. They've opened over 100 stores in their time. So they know how to find the locations, hire the staff, build it out, obviously with our design and our products. But it's been really awesome.
Basically, you're able to learn from them in terms of like the stuff that you guys haven't done yet, like retail, for example. Like, is there any bit where they're actually like learning from you guys because they're not digitally native? You guys are probably at the forefront in terms of a lot of the strategies that you guys have been able to execute on. Like, is there any like other side to it where like you're sitting down with their marketing teams on their other brands and teaching them?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely gone in and helped out with their marketing team, their social media team. Our teams are connected on ad strategy, on some of our content strategy, working with influencers. But I mean, it's a great partnership. The brands work well together, and I think that I see a good future with them, and it's definitely gonna. Like I said, we have 3 more years in our contract, and then it keeps going on after that. So I'm excited, and we've been growing since.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a great deal, not just financial outcome, but it sounds like you really like working with them. And of course, there's I'm sure you've heard all the horror stories about what other brands have gone through. So that's amazing. I think probably all the time that we have, but Griffin, thanks so much for the time. I think, I always love getting a chance to chat with you. I think in this public forum is pretty cool because a lot of other people got to learn from a lot of the experiences, mistakes that you guys have made along the way. So very, very cool. Thanks everyone else for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Griffin has been kind enough to offer anyone who's watching this a 50% off discount to Pura Vida. It's puravitabracelets.com is the URL, even though the brand is now Pura Vida. Thanks again, Griffin, for that. And there's a bunch of other materials, stuff about Yotpo, stuff about Pura Vida that's also being attached to this. So check it out. Thanks everyone for coming. And thanks again, Griffin. Really great talking to you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.